good morning, and welcome to this week's Messy Bun Manifesting, which actually probably should be like Wet Head Manifesting because I did my curly plop day today. So we're drying natural today. For whatever reason, well, let's just call it what it is. So I'm taping this or live streaming this in August of 2023, which means Mercury retrograde is in full bloom. And I literally hit go live and it went to YouTube. And yet again, Facebook is not loving the stream. So if you're on Facebook, I'm going to quickly kind of go over there and just say, hey, actually, you know what? I'm just going to share this later. It'll be fine. It's always fine. Where there's a will, there's a way. But let's see. I'm just gonna try and, get rid of that little place there. Let's see who is it. Oh, hey Sharon, how are you? Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Soul Coach Studio channel. I'm Soul Coach Michelle, and this is my weekly live stream called Messy Bun Manifesting. Because you know what? Manifesting isn't always neat and tidy, and we don't always have to look like the manifesting coaches that are like sprawled in a bikini across a Lamborghini. So real life and real manifesting. That's what we talk about: spiritual, practical, and no BS here. So I am so thrilled that you are here today. We're going to talk about affirmations, which is one of my jams. I love me some affirmations in you know, the gals over in the Celestial Soul Circle group that I run, which by the way, if you're in there, full moon circle this evening. If you're not a member and you want to join, we do moon circles, obviously twice a month. This month we're doing three because, we got a blue moon. It's a super blue full moon, which means two full moons in a month, which is why you call it a blue moon. And then the new moon in the middle. So this month, tomorrow is our full super blue moon in Pisces. And so today, or this evening, the circle will be gathering and we'll be doing some moon chat and ritual and energy clearing, energy charging. It's delightful. If you want to be a member, link is below. Go check out the description. But, anyways, and if you're new here, subscribe, click the bell, all the things. Okay, so affirmations. Affirmations are my jam. I mean, that's one of the things my clients come to me for because being a Virgo, words are my thing. I'm not super visual, I guess. So words are my thing and affirmations are my jam. Now, the thing is, a lot of manifesting coaches teach them with like this side dish of like shame and blame, which I hate. So I want to touch on that today too. But I want to start with, we all kind of know what affirmations are in general. They're like little statements that people who are into law of attraction, which you probably are if you're watching this, use as part of their toolbox. So, what is an affirmation? So I want to kind of speak to like what is the definition of affirmation. And so I looked it up, and because I'm a Virgo, we do that kind of thing. So I looked it up, and it says, and I'm just reading so that I get it right. An affirmation is an assertion by a person that something is true. So affirmations in the Muggle world might be like you go to court and somebody who is of a different religion than say somebody that believes in the Bible and that precludes, is that a word? Um, it is one of those things where they don't swear on the Bible because that's not their jam. Like their holy book might be something else, or if they just don't have one, and all of that's okay. I'm not saying anything bad about that, but I'm just using that as an example. Um, Everybody believes what they want, and so what you do instead of like right hand on the Bible, raise your right hand, left hand on the Bible thing in court, what you would be asked to do is to affirm that what everything you're going to share in court is true to the best of your knowledge. Otherwise you're committing perjury. So that is like the affirmation in the Muggle world. So in the woo-woo world, affirmations are again stating something that you believe is true. Now, here's the thing. Sometimes we do affirmations and they don't always come with the feeling of truth. So like say I said to you, um, state an affirmation that it's true. And so for me, that might be something like, I am always divinely protected, right? Because your affirmations need to be in the present, they need to be positive, and they need to be pointing towards where you want them to go. That's my three P's. I have an affirmation course that I'm setting up. I'm setting up a lot of courses, guys. So that by the end of the year, or maybe next year, we will have a little schoolhouse, which will be great. Um, but that's part of my affirmation course of creating your own power affirmations. But the three P's are present moment, positive, and pointing in the direction you want them to go. So I am, which is present moment. Positive is always like, stating what you want rather than what you don't want. And then pointing in the direction you want to go, which is stating the thing you want. So I am always divinely protected. That would be an affirmation. So that for me is true. Now, there's a lot of clients that I work with that there are statements that maybe they're trying to affirm or they're using to help them really get into a certain mindset, but they're not quite sure that they're true right now. Like something like I am worthy or I am enough. I mean, a lot of us I think struggle with those. So like you might say them and they create like a little twinge. And that's okay. So we're going to address that. What I do want to assert is this: there's a lot of coaches out there, or a lot of manifesting teachers, gurus, however you want to call them, that when they teach, they're like, hey, just take these 10 affirmations that are associated with the thing you want. Like if it's money, here's 10 money affirmations. And you need to write them. And I'm not going to name names, but like they're the one of the big affirmation like exercises that is going around and has been for a while is this one called the 555, where you write your affirmation 55 times for 5 days straight and prove you're supposed to get like whatever it is delivered to your doorstep, like an Amazon package. Yeah. So to me, that doesn't address the any underlying energy that is or programming that's attached to the affirmation that might be like the block you're bumping up against. So I love using affirmations as like a litmus test kind of to see where certain people are. So if you say something like, oh, and by the way, the 555 thing annoys me because I'm a Gen Xer. I don't know about other people, but when I was a kid, I was kind of like on that tail end where you had teachers, especially in elementary school, that were like, well, you need to write, I will not talk in class on the board like 100 times. And that was supposed to make us not talk in class. Now, let me tell you something. I was one of those people that had to do that shit. And if like it worked, I probably would not be here yammering away on the YouTubes. So um, I don't believe that. And that again is, I did not believe that what I was writing was true for me. And, thank God, right? Or else I wouldn't be here yammering. But that when we're dealing with it and we place it into this manifesting kind of container, the thing is that when stuff is not true for you, a lot of times what happens is the coach who designed the exercise is like, well, you know what? That didn't work for you because you don't believe enough. Or that didn't work for you because you're not doing it right. And I can't tell you how many folks have wandered into my office or like my my office, whether it be at the shop or in the virtual zoominess, but where I felt like they were just heartbroken over this like shaming, and that annoys me. And so I want to tell you something. That's garbage. So if someone's exercise doesn't work for you, that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. Okay? It means that something deeper is going on that needs to be looked at. And the way that I like to do that is to say, you know what? Let's go through these affirmations, and the ones that work, awesome. The ones that you're bumping up against, I don't want you to throw them out. I want us to talk about them. So, first and foremost, please, 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 the spiritual path is about asking questions and being curious, not about blame, shame, and guilt when an exercise doesn't work, especially in this realm. So, that said, let's address why they might not work so that you can jump into that. And the whole title of this video is Affirm and Thrive. So when the things work great, awesome, you're thriving on. When you're bumping up against stuff, you kind of got to dig deeper. So what does that mean? So when it's an affirmation not working, So what that looks like is, say you get your, you download your info crack, which might be like 50 affirmations for whatever. Um, or, here's the other thing, or, you might like look at some of Louise Hay's affirmations. I even have shameless self-promotion, my little deck here of my meditation minute that I created that is just brand newly released. If you want a copy of this, get your own little deck here. It is in the notes below if you want to grab that link. But I digress. Like, you know, there's affirmations all over the place. This one is just my deck. Like, there's tons of decks. And so, like, today, like this one says, just for today, I allow myself to embrace the miracle that I am. Some people might take that and be like, "Ah, I love that. Yeah, that's so true for me." Some folks might take it and be like, I don't know how true that is for me. And if that's the case, I'm not going to sit here and say you're managing you're doing my deck wrong, or you're doing the exercises that I'm going to teach you in the little class that I'm going to run for the deck, which if you got the newsletter, you saw that. Um, there's a link in there to join. It's free if you have your deck, or even if you don't, you just want to check it out, you can join that for free. It's a little class I'm doing on September 5th, and then it will be placed in the Your Meditation Minute YouTube playlist. So if you want to join live, come on. If not, you'll see it there. But I digress. If you do that class and you're like, wow, I'm doing my cards, and yeah, that one isn't true for me. I'm not going to sit here and be like, you're doing my exercise wrong. How dare you? Shame, shame. No, 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 no. No, to me, what that is like, ooh, that's exciting. I want you to get excited when you bump up against things, because that's where the juiciness is. That is where your self exploration can come alive. So, what happens is when you start seeing that happen for you, it's because there's programming going on that you might not be aware of, or you are aware of it. Like if you've ever done like a card reading with me, where I do the quickie card reading, where it's like, the three cards, which is the answer, and then I do the other cards that are the helpers, and some of them turn up upside down. And I always tell people, I don't see upside down cards as bad. I get excited because what they mean is either I didn't know that, I forgot I knew that, or I knew that and I don't wanna. And a lot of times, our journey in ourself, our spiritual path, our journey back to ourselves can sometimes be, and I know that and I don't wanna, because we have to address things that aren't always fun, or always aren't always, comfortable, and that's okay. So this might be one of those times. So if you pull that card and it's all about embracing the miracle that you are, and you're kind of like, man, I don't really think I'm a miracle. And I could sit here all day long and be like, explain why technically you are a miracle, why spiritually you are a miracle. But if you don't embody that for you, that's where the bump is. And that's where you need to do the mindset work, because the reason we hire coaches, I hire coaches, you hire coaches, is to really, help you and support you with maintaining a consistent mindset that creates the life we want. And so I want to go through a few steps for you to try, just experiment. So first of all, I want you to be curious. When you bump up against it, don't start, whipping yourself with a wet noodle, or, yelling at yourself on the inside and being like, well, why can't I be worthy? Why can't, you're just not worthy, and blah, blah, blah. And off you go. Rather, instead, why am I feeling that? Well, that's interesting. Kind of get curious, get more that's interesting as your thing. Be in observer mode. So as we do this, because that's going to help you navigate through this process that I'm going to share with you. So first off, so say we open up our little deck, and I am shedding like a dog in summer, y'all. My hair, I don't know. I started taking more vitamin D, so I don't know if it's because that's just getting rid of old, um, old things. Okay, so say we're going to use this card as the example. All right. So just for today, allow myself to embrace the miracle that I am. So say you're like, you know what? I just don't think I'm a miracle. So step number one, recognize that it doesn't resonate and stay in observer mode. So don't just look at it and be in the emotion of I really don't feel like it. Like being in like you can feel the emotion obviously because that'll be an initial reaction. Don't dwell in it. Don't live in it. Dwelling is living, right? Well, don't dwell in that feeling of not enoughness when you pull an affirmation that doesn't necessarily resonate, or when you're working with affirmations to shift your mindset that don't resonate. Because a lot of times when you're doing that, they're not gonna. They're just gonna be like, oh, that's uncomfortable, or that doesn't feel true for me. But I would like it to be true, like I'm worthy, I'm enough, or I always have more money in the bank that I for me to spend, share, and give, or whatever your jam is about money. Um, so just first of all, recognize what's going on. And then secondly, stay in observer mode about it. Don't sit in that emotional state because when you're in observer mode, you can choose. When you're in that emotional dwell, it doesn't allow you to have the choice because you're allowing your thoughts to carry you away instead of being in charge of them. So that's number 1. Number 2, do not toss it aside. Don't be like, well, I'm just that kind of person who just doesn't feel that way. And so that's never going to change and whatever. Don't toss that aside that way. That's abandoning yourself. And that also is programming because, say, you had an upbringing where there was a lot of like, just suck it up, don't worry, whatever, like that business. So it's like, well, if you get this card and you're like, you know what, this just isn't working for me, I would say don't do that because that's abandoning yourself. Obviously, when you bump up against something, your inner child, your inner teenager, your inner young woman, your inner young person, your inner right now is calling out and saying, I want to believe this, but I'm not sure how. So we don't want to abandon that call. So what you want to do is stay with yourself. Say, you know what? I'm not going to push this aside. It might be a little uncomfortable, and that's okay. I'm going to stay in curiosity mode so that I can explore this for myself. So, speaking of curiosity, let's get curious about this. And I wrote some journal prompts down that I want to share with you. So, when you get to that space, get your journal, look at the affirmation on the card, whether you're using this deck or another deck or, a list or whatever. And the thing when you have one that you bump up against, write it at the top of the page of a blank page in your journal. Then answer these questions, kind of in this order too. So, and you might do a page of each because you're going to have this inner dialogue with yourself about what's going on here. So, when you read this, you know, get curious and start asking your inner self, maybe even your heart, maybe, because your mind's going to want to just be like, no, no, no. But in your heart, ask yourself, like, what feelings come up for me when I read this? Not just, I mean, obviously it's a, that doesn't feel right. Okay, so where in your body does it not feel right? Is it your tummy? Is it your left shoulder? You know, where is it? Where is it in your body? And then speak to that space in your body and say, what feelings are coming up there? Doubt, resistance, fear, disbelief, um, kind of one of those. I want to believe, but I just don't feel that it's there right now, or something, didn't tell something's telling me it's not there for me right now. What is that? What is the feelings that are coming up? And you don't have to write cohesive sentences. And that's Mercury retrograde right now. So if you're doing this now, it might it might be kind of odd. You could bullet journal this. Um, then the next question might be after you kind of figure out what am I feeling? What am I feeling when I read this? What feelings are coming up? Like not enoughness, doubt, disbelief, that kind of thing. Then who else in your circle? And in your circle is your family, your family of origin, people that raised you, maybe some circle of friends or cousins or relatives of, extended beyond your family of origin. I'm like, who else in the family circle? Like when you think about all the people, who else do you notice doesn't feel this way? Is your mom, your dad, aunt, uncle, grandparents, cousins, friends that are reinforcing your doubt in this affirmative statement that you would like to be true for yourself. and kind of dig deep into that because that's doing kind of like where in my ancestry is this coming from? And then is this belief about the statement or the affirmation one I want to keep? Is that doubt? Is that disbelief? Is that resistance? Something I want to keep? Like, and if it is, that's okay. You've done your exploration, rock on. This one is truly not for you right now. But, you know, it might turn out that you don't. And you might also ask, is it serving me? Is believing this, that is believing this is not true for me, serving me? Because I think what happens a lot of times is there are times in our life where we have certain beliefs, certain thought structures that are put in place due to circumstance that we use to get through something, like a coping mechanism, or that at the time was true. But as you evolve as a human, sometimes things no longer are true for you. I mean, like, your favorite thing might have been to make a mud pie in the middle of a Wednesday, but as you get older, that might not be true for you anymore because you might get to the point where you're like, that's dirty, or I can't because I got to go to work, or, I just don't like playing in the dirt anymore that way. I would rather garden. So you might shift and it just isn't true for you. The belief holding you back from believing this is not true for you anymore, and that needs to shift. And you have to identify that kind of thing. If it's not serving. So the last question might be, what might be a different belief you would move that you might think of that would move you closer to this affirmation if it is one that you would like to embrace. So if you want to embrace the affirmation, I allow myself to embrace the miracle that I am. And you're kind of like having this like, well, I'm not really worthy of that, or I'm not good. And you're not ready to kind of totally jump into the to embracing it. What you might could say to yourself is the belief that I want to replace these old beliefs about how I'm not worthy of this might be, you know what? Um, I am willing is an affirmation because it could be true. Because I think this is the truth. If you're going to get this far in your journal exercises, I am willing. I am willing to consider that I am a miracle, and that's moving you closer. Like people think you have to go from nothing to everything in one foul swoop, and honest to God, that is not how things work. It might sometimes, but most of the times there is going to be this like I need to just crack the door open to give myself some breathing room because it can feel intimidating or scary to jump from nothing to everything in one fell swoop. So, if you're not ready to sit down and embrace the affirmation about yourself as a truth, that's I allow myself to embrace the miracle that I am as your truth. But you are saying, you're obviously doing the work. So the truth for you would be, I'm willing to consider or be open to the idea that I am a miracle. That would be the belief that you would replace the old one that's the I'm not worthy or I'm not. I'm willing to consider, I'm willing to be open minded, I'm willing to look at believing that I'm worthy. Do you see? So, like, that process can help you inch closer to the truth, to embracing the affirmation you want as truth, whether it's, you know, I embrace the miracle that I am. It might even be something like, I am well compensated for the work that I do, that I love, or it might be I attract a loving partner. Whatever the affirmations you're working with, if right now they're not resonating, there's a reason, and it's usually some form of old programming that's kind of stuck up in there. So, doing this journal process that I just described would really, really help. So, make sure when you do this that you set aside some sacred time to have that because it's really a conversation with yourself. Like, don't have your phone close by. Don't do it at the kitchen table where others who you might be cohabitating with can pass through and kind of be like, "What's for dinner? Hey, let me tell you about my day." Like, this is your sacred time to have conversation between you and your inner being, and to kind of say to yourself, "This is where I'm going to do some work." So maybe even, I joking, well, no, it's serious. I have a little sign that I hang on the door when I'm meditating. It says, "Do not disturb meditating." And that's how Darren knows, like, don't come in. Even Buddy knows. he lays outside the door. And when he hears me kind of stirring after I'm done, he gets all excited. So make sure you are in a non-distracted place, and that those that you cohabitate with, if you cohabitate with anyone, know that you're going to take 30 minutes to yourself and that not to be disturbed. Okay. So just because that's your time. And then set your room, if you do candles or a cup of tea or whatever, and then do your journaling. Maybe pull your affirmation card and do some journaling um, about, if that one doesn't resonate. And here's the fun thing, if it does resonate, to kind of really solidify that even more, pull out the journal, write it at the top, and write the reasons why you feel that particular affirmation resonates with you. Why is this my truth? What things happen to that makes this feel true for me? Just to kind of really cement that in. So it's not always about doing these deep spiritual journeys. Sometimes it's needed. Sometimes it's more about like, why am I grateful for this? Why is this true for me? So that you can reconnect to yourself. And that's so, so important on this journey. So I hope this was helpful. One of my deep, desires, and one of the reasons why I do what I do is because I'm a soul healer. And what that means to me is that we live in a world that seemingly is more and more encouraging you to be disconnected from yourself. And that really is what I see as a major point of discourse for everyone, because not only are we having division between each other, but we are having division within ourselves, which is why you have division between each other. So when we're taught not to be connected to ourselves and rather to be connected to social media or the television or whatever, I think it's so important to take the time to really just connect with yourself. And part of my role as a soul healer and a soul coach is to support folks to do that kind of thing. And especially those of you who are woopreneurs or spiritual side hustlers, and I mean that in the traditional or non-traditional sense. Like, say you are, I call it a light leader, non-traditional and traditional. So traditional is like what I do, and healers and Reiki masters, and you know who you are. And the non-traditional ones are maybe the people in the office that are the ones that, when you're not there because you go on vacation or you take a sick day, people are always missing you because you bring the light into the office. And a lot of times, all of us that do that kind of thing, that bring our light and share it out into the world, we have a tendency not to nurture ourselves. So that's why I created Celestial Soul Circle. And if that resonates with you, coming to a place where I didn't see, yes, it's a lot of for those who are working in that realm of wopreneurship, but again, as the traditional or non-traditional light leader, and a lot of times we have a tendency not to nurture ourselves, not to do the self-care we tell everybody else to do. And so there's enough woo business coaches out there. I don't need to be another one. What my role is to help those of us, maybe you, that is doing this, to have some space to refocus and accountability to do that. Because I know for me, if I don't have accountability of where I need to show up for myself, I don't do it. So this circle is centered around the moon phases because I love that divine feminine energy. I think that's awesome. And it also gives us like a connectivity purpose and grounding. So we meet at least 2 times a month, if not 3, for moon circles and pop-up workshops so that we can connect with each other. We do clearing meditations, energy clearing, energy recharging, so that when you go back into your light leader role, you are totally recharged and you feel really good and you have a place to come where you can talk to other people that are doing the same thing. So if that sounds like your jam, we actually are meeting tonight at 5 p.m. For our super blue moon, full moon, the big giant moon of August circle. If you're watching in August of 2023, if you want to join, the link is below. And it is a monthly membership, and I would love to have you join us if that's your jam, because I feel like that's one of my roles, is to support other um, light leaders. So anyway, so I hope this chat about affirmations and how to really work with them. It's not just write them 55 times for 5 days and poof, you get a miracle. It's not like that, in my opinion. It's creating the truth you want for yourself and then affirming it, which is a statement that you say, that you write, that conveys the truth within you. And if you don't feel that it's true and someone keeps trying to push it on you to make it true, that doesn't really happen. You have to do your work within yourself, like that journaling exercise I shared earlier. So if you try the exercise and you love it, let me know in the comments. Um, if you want to join the Celestial Soul Circle, that stuff is down below. If you need a reading, feel free to check out the calendar on my website. And I think that's it for this week. So affirm what is true for you. The stuff that doesn't so much feel true, maybe do some work with it um, and see what comes of it for you. And then I guess I will see you next Tuesday at 11 a.m. Central Time right here. Hopefully, Mercury retrograde will not be doing some MR shenanigans. Again, I'm not quite sure what's going on with Facebook, but I will upload this to the Facebook. And other than that, but you can always find me on YouTube. And I appreciate those of you that have come to hang out with me today. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week. And until next time, I'll see you in the vortex. If you have questions, you can go ahead and put them in the comments below, #replay, and I'll come back and answer them. Um, and that's it. I love you all so much. Have a great rest of your day. See you later. Bye.